preliminary you want to, if there's anything, something else you want to tell me or say?
Yes, sir. So we'll just go through the flow, sir. With your permission, I'll welcome the gathering, and Senior Advocate Mr. Pradeep will introduce, and then we'll request you to address our students, followed by student question and answer session, followed by a vote of thanks, sir.
Okay, that's fine.
Is that flow perfect, sir?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, sir. Is Advocate, I believe Advocate Pradeep sir has joined the call. Maybe they're setting up the IT.
I think I've got the.
So with your permission, shall we start the session, sir?
Yes, sure.
Okay. Master, over to you.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Children, please turn on the video, please, children. Turn on the video, please. We have to start recordings also. Please turn on the video. Everyone, my dear children, please turn on the video. Yes. Namaste. I am Ganesh, wishing a pleasant morning to all those who have joined through this session virtually. When God be with us, nobody can be against us. The association with God will always make us comfortable and secure. So I humbly bow down to God to shower His abundant blessings throughout this session. Welcoming is our tradition, and it is a part of our culture too. To do that, on behalf of everyone, I request our CEO, sir, Mr. K. Chandrasekharan, to welcome the gathering. Please, sir.
Thank you, Master. Am I audible, Master? I just want to make sure.
Sir, yes, sir.
Okay. Very good morning, everyone. I'm very happy and honored to welcome all of you to this iconic webinar, Evolving Contours of Law. We have our chief guest, Hon'Ble Mr.Justice Sanjay Kishan Kaul, sir, former judge, Supreme Court of India. Sir has joined virtually. And thank you so much, sir, for taking the time, despite your busy schedule. Thank you for joining us today. India, as you all know, for the students, India is the largest democracy in the world. And our constitution, which was drafted by Dr. Ambedkar and a committee headed by him, is the longest constitution in the world. And even if you go back in time, even ancient India was known for law and justice. We all have heard the stories of the great Tamil king, Manamnidi Soran, who had a giant bell in front of his palace that anyone can ring the bell to ask for justice. And there's a famous story about how even a cow got justice from the great Tamil king Manamnidi Soran. There are other ancient Indian texts, the Dharma Shastra, the Artha Shastra. There are many ancient Indian texts that talk about the hierarchy of courts, the judiciary system, the process of a lawsuit, so on and so forth. And today, in the 21st century, judiciary certainly is a key part of the Indian democracy. And from the judiciary, we have, as I mentioned already, Honorable Justice Sir with us today. And Sir needs no introduction, but I want to highlight, for the benefit of our students, I want to highlight a few key aspects here. During his tenure of almost 7 years as the judge of the Supreme Court of India, Sir was part of 590 benches and he authored 167 judgments. And several of them are landmark judgments, including those that held the right to privacy as a fundamental right, upholding the center's decision to abrogate Article 370 of our Constitution. Sir has been a huge proponent of freedom of expression, and there are several lawsuits where he has given judgments in favor of freedom of expression. He's passed orders in a matter related to the air pollution in our national capital, and last but not least, in a major step towards gender equality, our Honorable Justice Sir headed a bench that voted in favor, that judged in favor for allowing eligible women to take part in the examinations for admissions into the National Defense Academy, the NDA. So thank you so much, sir. I was fortunate enough earlier this year to attend a conference where Sir was one of the speakers, and the session was fantastic. And after the session was over, we were very hesitant to approach Sir because of his stature and whether he will agree to address school students. Sir has been very magnanimous. He immediately accepted to address our school students despite his busy schedule. Thank you once again, sir, for being with us today. At this juncture, I would also like to welcome our senior advocate from Trichy, Mr. S. Pradeep, who has over 25 years of experience as a practicing senior advocate. He is a panel advocate for several central government and state government organizations, for several large temples, for several private corporations as well. We welcome you, Pradeep sir. Thanks for taking the time and for being with us today.
Okay.
And I would also like to mention that Pradeep sir's father, Advocate V. Santhanam sir, has over 5 decades of experience as a practicing senior advocate at Trichy and several other courts. So it is noteworthy to mention that here. So once again, thank you, Pradeep sir, for agreeing to introduce our speaker and for agreeing to moderate our session today. Last but not least, my message to all the students here is please make use of this golden opportunity. And one thing I'll tell our Honorable Justice Sir is our alumni are pursuing law at various premium institutions, sir. After this session, I'm confident that more and more students will hopefully pursue law as a career, sir. So I would like to also welcome our Dean, Mr. Ganesh, our Principal, Mrs. Padma Srinivasan ma'am, our Head of Academy, Mr. Ravindranath Kumar, our teachers, students, and parents. Welcome all of you, and thanks for this opportunity. Over to you, Master.
Thank you, CEO sir, for your wonderful welcome. Now I request Mr. S. Pradeep, Senior Advocate in Trichy, to introduce the Chief Guest and to moderate today's session. Please, sir.
Yes, sir. Good morning and namaskaram to Justice Kaul and to the students. In Tirukkural, Thiruvalluvar says, Murai Seida Kaapatrum Mannavan, Matkatkaire Endru Vaikappadum. Meaning, if a king acts according to law with good conscience, the society will regard him as God. This is true to a judge as well. His Lordship Justice Kaul work is a testament to this saying. On this solemn occasion, it is my unique privilege and honor to extend warm welcome to our esteemed guest, Honorable Mr. Justice Sanjay Kishan Kaul, on behalf of the school and as well as the legal fraternity. We are glad and grateful, sir, for having accepted to give the discourse to the students who are sure will be helpful to them to decide their future stream of education and to chart out their career. We thank you and welcome once again, sir. In order to truly understand and appreciate the stature and contributions of Justice Kaul, it is my duty to give you a brief description, though it will not be brief, about his background and achievements. Justice Kaul is a native of Srinagar, born to Kashmir Pandit parents in the year 1958. He completed schooling in Modern School, New Delhi, graduated in economics honors from St. Stephen's College, Delhi, then took a degree in law from University of Delhi in 1982. His great-great-grandfather and great-grandfather were ministers and diplomats in the state of Jammu and Kashmir. Justice Kaul's younger brother, Mr. Neeraj Kaul, is also a senior advocate, and he served as an additional Solicitor General and then went on to become a judge of the Delhi High Court. Justice Kaul, not resting on his illustrious royal lineage, chose to find his passion and follow his dreams. He was good in academics, vibrant, and youthful in the college, and had contested the student union elections as well. Justice began his practice as an advocate, mainly in commercial, civil, and writ matters in Delhi High Court and Supreme Court of India, all the while endorsing and embracing values of commitment to fairness and efficiency. He was subsequently designated as a senior advocate and then elevated as an additional judge of Delhi High Court in 2001. He was made a permanent judge in 2003, and he was also the acting Chief Justice of Delhi High Court in September 2012. He became Chief Justice of Punjab and Haryana High Court in June 2013. The turning point and renaissance for the Madras High Court and the legal fraternity in Tamil Nadu began when he was appointed as its 46th Chief Justice in the year 2014, July 2014. Madras High Court is a chartered high court, one of the 3 chartered high courts in India. And Abraham Lincoln famously said, "Nearly all men can withstand adversity, but if you want to test a man's character, give him power." True to the adage, during his stint here, contrary to the expectations and prevailing status quo, Justice Kaul cleansed the system by holding his subordinates accountable, took on the entire legal fraternity head-on, which no one had dared before, and ensured that the courts functioned without any break. I am sure that Justice Kaul would have won a wager with Madam Kaul in this regard. We will be happy to know that his much needed actions have brought about a change in attitude, and the courts are functioning without any interruption till date, which I am sure Justice will be very happy to find. Known for his firmness, tempered with patience, his erudite verdicts that often brought landmark changes to the country and its citizens at large. Justice Kaul has become a legend in the annals of the judiciary. His significant contribution to easing the mechanism of justice delivery to the commoner will be long remembered. When Justice assumed office in the Madras High Court, the pendency of the cases were at 24%, which runs into several lakhs. And before he demitted office and assumed the post of judge of the Supreme Court in the year 2017, it was brought down to 18%, which again translates into several lakhs. Retiring in 2023, Justice left an indelible mark on the legal landscape of the nation. Justice will be remembered in Indian judicial history as a judge who took a tough stand on the delay in clearing recommendations made by the collegium and passed citizen-centric orders. Justice was not only a fine judge, but an able administrator too, which is a very rare combination. He is a fun-loving person, an avid lover of the theatre, music, golf, and reading. He is a member of various prestigious institutions. This drives home the message to our students that finding new interests and activities can help to improve one personally and professionally. To speak about his integrity, in the St. Stephen's College case, Justice Kaul recused himself, being an alumnus of the college. I can go on, but I don't want to be injuncted by Justice Kaul and cost imports. So I better stop with this because his achievements are so much that we can just proceed with pages and pages. With this address, I welcome Justice Kaul once again and request him to enlighten the students. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Vanakkam, all the young students and the management, for giving me the opportunity to talk to people who are the future of tomorrow. That's the students, all of you. And where you perceive to take the country, which is at a very critical nature of position. It's also an opportunity to talk to young students from Tamil Nadu, a place which I call my second home. For almost 2.5 years I spent there, and a sense of satisfaction which I hold. Understanding a culture, understanding a different place, and great respect for the commitment of especially the teaching faculty there, and how education has evolved and helped in empowering that state. I would like to interact at something which is relevant to you people. So a little bit from the personal note. I thought I'll just trace my journey. How did I become a lawyer? Because you are at a young age where you are deciding, you have very many prospects with you have different options with you. Frankly, I never thought I would be a lawyer, least of all a judge. So when I joined my St. Stephen's College in economics, the trajectory I thought was to do my graduation, work towards an MBA and take the civil services exam, with the objective of joining the foreign service. So I had a great passion for traveling, and I thought in those times, we're talking about 1970s and early 80s, there was 79, there was not the scenario which you see today where everybody is up and down out of the country. So I thought it would be a good thing to see the world. Somewhere, I think, where my family couldn't persuade, I got a family friend, Justice Kripalu, the Chief Justice ultimately of India, and a lawyer then to get me into this field. So sometimes minds change. That's what I'm saying. Keep your minds open. What you will do is not preconceived or predetermined. It depends on the options which come your way, and sometimes you keep changing your mind. So all my friends from college say, you always said you won't do law, and you ended up doing the very thing. That's how my journey for law began. I was always, once I joined law, I've enjoyed it thoroughly, the study of law also, because it's a very vibrant subject. It's an evolving subject. Every day it evolves from judicial precedents to daily life, and it touches people. Each one of us, whether we are lawyers, not lawyers, in some way or the other, law touches us by being citizens of this country. So there are different kinds of pursuits of law which have occurred over a period of time. When I joined, there was a little limitation in terms of people really looked to only the field of litigation by and large, and I was interested in litigation, so I chose that path. Though corporate law had started taking roots, I also faced a little challenge because it was perceived then that the number of law schools were limited. There were no national law schools. And when I joined the profession, I was told you are not, on the writer's side, you're not fit because unless you get a third division, you can't be a good lawyer. So I used to tell them, well, if we have to, we were a number of people who broke that mold and joined. We were about 10 people from St. Stephen's Economics somehow who did law, which included people like Abhishek A.M. Singhvi, Senior Counsel, a Member of Parliament, Parag Tripathi, former ASG, who was the topper of the batch, Chief Justice Chandrachud, who presently heads the Supreme Court, and some judges, lawyers. So it was an unusual situation where from a background of economics of St. Stephen's, people went in to do law, maybe because a number of them had some kind of a legal background. That was the time when law used to be a more profession with family orientations. Somebody in the family was there and you joined. And that's a sea change, I would tell you as I go along, which has taken place. I worked with a senior where I got a great opportunity to appear in court and took those opportunities. I've always told younger lawyers that when you get an opportunity, be ready to grab that, be ready, prepared with your case. And the judges will always be more considerate towards you as young lawyers who have just joined the field than with the senior person. That happens in every field. So it's a question of whatever field you people take, of working towards it, and there is and adjusting to the norms and ethics of that profession. Let me say this at this stage: whether as students, whether as lawyers, whether as engineers or doctors, ethical issues are extremely important of the profession you are in. If you achieve something with the ethics, it goes a long way. It's very easy to make compromises, and when you make compromises, the repercussions are large. So I've seen people in the legal field making compromises early, maybe because they thought they could make what you would call a quick buck, quick money, and it has never helped in the longer range. So determination to carry on your path, whatever that path may be, and look to, if you're looking to law as a field, to work out on the ethics, learn from your seniors, not have an ego because you may have been from the best of institutions, and imbibe what they give you is a very important area. I continue to practice on the litigation field in primarily in the High Court with some work in the Supreme Court because I was also an advocate on record till I was designated a senior advocate. The senior advocate is the advantage and disadvantages are that you stop filing matters. You are supposed to appear with a lawyer. You're not supposed to contact the litigant directly, truly, if it is done. And I think it's a great opportunity of having spent almost a little less than 2 decades in the profession. I had put in about maybe 17 years as a lawyer when I got it. So you are able to concentrate on purely legal fields. You are not looking after administration and law also. That's the distinction between a senior advocate and a counsel on record. There are people who have done extremely well, followed their path as a counsel on record. And as senior counsel, it makes meaning only if you are following what the senior counsel is supposed to do. And in a way, evolve and help a lot of the younger people from the legal field. When judgeship came my way, it was unexpected because earlier to that, at that age, it was not being offered. 45 was some kind of a benchmark, which is also there today. But in a period of time when I got it, they relaxed the norms at that time, and I was fortunate to join the bench at a young age. Our generations were bred with this concept that it's an honor, you don't decline it. You don't say no. Came a nice way. Then Chief Justice of India had called me and told me that you please go and give your consent. I don't want to listen to any no from you, and whatever your concerns will be taken care of. And I have had, let me say, no regrets of what I did as in the legal field as a lawyer or as a judge. Two different challenging tasks, but each having their own satisfaction levels. Except that as a judge, you are able to do something yourself. You can make a small contribution to yourself. No one person changes the whole system or the whole working environment, but small amounts of contribution by each person is something which helps in. I spent 12 years in the Delhi High Court, and Delhi High Court has a very vast variety of legal opportunities in terms of the fields which come here because of the location in the center. In a very large commercial litigation, I think Delhi, Bombay, and Chennai are three places which have the benefit of a hugely commercial litigation, lucrative commercial litigation, I would say. And in today's world of commerce, that is where the litigation, a large part of the litigation is. But equally important is the ability of a lawyer to seek justice and for the judge to endeavor to give justice, where even the common people are involved, the underprivileged are involved, the rights of detainees are involved. In so many fields you give it. So as a judge, I worked in fields which I had maybe never worked as a lawyer in. I was not a criminal side practitioner. In those times, IPR was not a main subject. But as a judge, I did a lot of these areas itself. So your spectrum spreads wide till you come to the. I came to Chennai after going through the route of Punjab Haryana as a Chief Justice. Undoubtedly, the most challenging task I faced. And one of my senior judges said that even after you complete 7 years in the Supreme Court, your testing ground will be determined by what you had done in Chennai. It was mentioned by Santhanam that uh, Chennai was different. Well, yes, I came from a different culture background, learned a culture which was extremely good, learned that charter court had some problems which to my mind had not been attended to. And one of the aspects I would like to emphasize is that what troubled me was the periodic calls to go on strike over. I believe, and I keep saying, and you are young people, some of you will join law. You are providing access to justice to the common man. This is not a blue collar job. It's a job of, that's why it's a profession. It's a profession where you're helping others. Judge helps in his own ways, and you as lawyers help in their own way. And the temple of justice can never remain closed. Examples were being given by your CEO itself of how, even if we draw from our, the ancient themes, we emphasize on the concept of being able to ring the bells of justice and knock the door of justice at any time of day or night. And therefore, it is alien to a concept of not permitting people to get justice. That's something which was a great satisfying factor for me. Appointments of judges and manning the judges is a very important role, I think, of a Chief Justice. I had a great opportunity of appointing 45 judges to the Madras High Court. 46 actually, 14 to the Punjab High Court, appointing 60 judges all over the country. And I kept on emphasizing to my colleagues that this is one of the main functions. Judges must be good quality, judges must be appointed on merit. Let me say this. You see, the whole profession, which was looked upon as a family-oriented profession, the national law schools have changed the whole outlook of it. Today, you have an enormous number of first-generation lawyers who have made it wonderfully well, who have made it to the benches as judges, starting from the district level to the middle level to the high courts. So the quality of law education has greatly improved. A lot needs to be still done, I think. The number of law schools which are eminent are still less compared to the total number of law schools. But there are far many more number of national law schools now there, which you people can compete and have an opportunity and have a good competitive examination. And let me assure you of such of the students who have no background of law, it is no more a vestige of any family or any person. Whether as counsels, whether as lawyers, they have done phenomenally well. And the spectrum of law has greatly changed. Therefore, the topic, if you look at the evolving contours of law, with the growth of industry, with growth of business, we got a scenario where corporate law also evolved to its own self. So on one hand, we had a greater increase in corporate law, law firms and lawyers who would assist them in their legal business work, and also corporations who decided to have in-house legal assistance. That's another area. The terms and conditions and working conditions of the civil judge level, the subordinate judges improved drastically. Today, you have students from national law schools going there and joining. That's another area. So where you do service from the beginning. And there are 3 tiers of entry into that point. You have the civil judge level, and then those who get promoted to the additional district judge levels. And at that level also our inductions, direct inductions take place. And finally, some of them get promoted to the High Court, and lawyers also directly come to the High Court. So you have very many options, opportunity, depending on what suits you and your inclination to go about in this profession. It's a profession of very, very hard work, undoubtedly. Um, India is large population, so the litigation field is also very large, arising from it. The challenges are more, and despite what we have done for in the underprivileged section of society, and I had an option to head the National Legal Service Authority, the MCPC Mediation Conciliation Project Committee in the Supreme Court. There is still a wide canvas left. Uh, the number of eligible people for legal aid are very large, and we are still providing it to if you look at to the number of people who are availing of it, it is still small in numbers and very many fine tuning. I truly believe that we, having adopted a constitution and given to by the experts, individual freedom is a hallmark of it, and a very important part. If you look around our country and see the position of many other countries who may have got freedom in and around the same time, I'm sure the study of history and political sciences of those areas will give you the realization that with all its problems and all the issues which we battle, we are a democracy. That itself is a great privilege, I think. When the constitution was adopted, adult franchise was given to every person. There are countries which do it on the basis of education. There are countries where women got a right to vote much later in European countries, so-called developed nations. So the foresight of our constitution makers was such. They gave an equivalent adult franchise to men, women, everybody, irrespective of education, irrespective of caste, community. That itself is a great strength of our nation and a great strength of our constitution. Um, Therefore, this is an area, though I've not practiced so much on it as a judge, I wanted to do something. And starting from at some stage, if you do law, read judgments on where I quashed proceedings against M.F. Hussain or Perumal Morgan in Tamil Nadu, it is my belief that everybody has a right to express its views, especially arts, drama, theater, books. They all have a larger play permitted because you can choose what you want to read, you can choose what you want to see, and that choice must be available rather than restricting it. So, being able to project your opinion is a very important part of the task which is performed. Yes, I've always counted these couple of judgments more important to me than maybe what I've written elsewhere. As also some aspects he mentioned on the right of privacy, which we have evolved, the Supreme Court evolved at a higher level than even some of the European countries. And yes, as a High Court judge, I had an opportunity to rule on the Permanent Commission for Women, which was ultimately upheld by the Supreme Court, which is giving the right of permanent commission to men and women depending on the fields they are in. And then in the Supreme Court for an education purposes, so that women get into fields which earlier were educational institutions which were domain only of men. So the country in these years has expanded tremendously on these fields. And you have an opportunity to pick up from any of these areas to do so. But it's a competitive world in every field, so in law. Um, there is no substitute, as your teachers in your school tell you, of hard work. There is no equivalent. I have seen in my stay what education has done, especially in Tamil Nadu. Um, my own driver's daughter did architecture and went away for further studies to England and works there. Now, this is possible, is the first generation jump which has occurred because the child was willing to study and the parents were willing to educate. And in that, it is important that the opportunity of education is equivalent to the girl and boy. This is something I found greatly about Tamil Nadu. Whatever else may be, there are still evolving times between men and women. I don't say there is absolute equality. But on education parameters, certainly the state has worked greatly to give opportunities across the board, across communities, across castes, and people have shown that they can do extremely well wherever part of the world they are in. So, law field today, if you go to Singapore or many other countries, you will find Indians who are working there. So even the legal field has spread not only within the country, but outside the country also. And the legal field today is opening in certain ways even within the country. As we expand our horizons and see with what is happening across the world in terms of commerce and economics, um, the to and fro flow of lawyers and information will increase. A lot of time people tell us that, children today are going in for post graduation. If they get opportunities, they're going abroad, some of them on scholarships. It is an expanding horizon. So when people used to ask me, when it does it directly, assist you in a profession of law, I would say maybe only. But your expanding horizon is what helps. I have two daughters. I did exactly that with them. One of them is a lawyer. I never made them choose law specifically. So one of them didn't want to do law, one wanted to do law, and they traverse their own paths and try to give them education to the best possible levels so that there is empowerment. I feel education is the greatest empowerment, and if women are to be empowered and given equal opportunity, then education is the first aspect, and the second aspect is economic parity, which comes with right of inheritance, equally now as modified to women, and their ability to work and earn equally. So you have among the younger generation both couples working and providing for the family, and that creates its mutual respect and an empowerment which has taken place. In legal field also, a lot of sometimes I was asked, why are there so few women judges? I tell them, please start with the subordinate judiciary. What is the position? Today, it is more than one third by their own merit. Why? Because more women are going into the field. Earlier, women did not go to the field. At the High Court and Supreme Court levels, the women earlier never stayed on to the profession. So suddenly, one fine day, you can't appoint a judge there because uh, the age profile is such that you are normally about 45 to 50, 55 when you're being appointed. So somebody who's stayed in the profession can get there directly. It is happening more and more. It will take time, but most national law schools today are having an equitable number of girls and boys come in. In the judicial service, the last time I did a selection for Delhi, which was 2012, there were even then 73% women who got in. So I come from a college, St. Stephen's College, which is well established in Delhi, which is an all males college till a year before I joined, till 75. Today, that college hostels have 50% women's hostel because the number of women are more. So sometimes I wonder whether we'll need reservation for men to have an equality after a stage of time is also a factor to be seen. I'm just talking about how the country has changed, how all of you have got empowered, how the how if you look to the civil services, the background from which people come from. People have worked hard to get into law, to judiciary, to um, civil services on the corporate side. They are all people within one generation that change has taken place. So never hesitate and never think that where I come from is important to rise. What you do is important, and how you utilize the opportunities in a proper manner is what is important. Not where you came from, whether you had an education in a Tamil medium or an English medium. Uh, Ultimately, you acquire the language skills, you increase those skills, but yes, your schooling is important. It is important that you work and continue working during that period of time when you are there. There is no magic wand which anybody can wave. It is your efforts, um, with the assistance of the parents who help you get education, and it is for you to utilize the opportunity. Um, Let me thank you for giving me this opportunity. I don't want to carry on a monologue because I know a question answer session was held, and I would much prefer to deal with and answer what you have to question me. I would have possibly someday loved to do it physically also, because despite gain of technology, the physical interaction has its own positives. But the access is increased because of technology, and that is why I'm able to talk to all of you. So has the legal fraternity increased it. So I look forward to to the interesting questions which you want to pose, and try my best to answer them. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you. And Master, would you like to coordinate the student question and answer session?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you so much, Honorable Mr. Justice, sir, for sharing your valuable experiences with us. The students attending this webinar might have so many key takeaways, like women empowerment, and then you have shared it is not from where we have come, but what we do. And we have got some questions from the students, as Socrates says, raise questions to get them clarified. Our students have shared so many questions through messages and through YouTube chat as well. With your permission, shall we proceed, sir?
Yes, please.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Keshav Sharma of grade 12, you can have your question, please.
Good morning, sir. My question is, how has technology impacted the practice of law and administration of justice, and what challenges has it presented? What challenges and opportunities has it presented for legal professionals, sir? Thank you.
So, if you see, originally law was slow to absorb technology, I must say. But COVID provided a great changeover. We had an option to either shut down, which we didn't want to, or use technology. And I think technology got really pushed into the legal field um, during the COVID period of time. That's how we kept the justice system working. Now, uh, with the younger lawyers coming in, they are far more savvy with technology than the earlier generation. Let's look at today what the scenario is. Access to justice has always been a very important part. So there have been people saying that Supreme Court is too far away, say from the south or the east, or a very big state like Tamil Nadu. Access to the High Court would be a problem from the district levels. Today, virtual courts is an acceptable form. Uh, Both modes go together, and it has been repeatedly emphasized. So, sitting from wherever you are able to access courts. The fact that I'm talking to you is itself a technology change. Arbitration, for example, after retirement, as I start doing arbitration, most of it is being done virtually. Mediation, which was supposed to be, again, more personalized basis, is being done with technology. So that is so far as access is concerned. But also in terms of record keeping, documentations, digitization was going on earlier also, because space constraint is always everywhere. And with digitization, the size of record rooms becomes small. You don't have to keep physical records of everything. That's another important aspect which has taken place with technology coming in. We are talking about AI and other things which will also help. So there are certain fields where it is being experimented. For example, where in compensation for motor accidents claim. Now, this has been the first experimental basis being tried by the Supreme Court, because the law is well laid down. It's more mathematical calculation, and the objective is to see that people get it quickly. On issue of exercise of rights of freedom is extremely important, because technology has helped us decipher in terms of how many prisoners are in how many jails, for how long have been there, and you find suddenly there are people who have stayed longer than they should be. I'll give you an illustration of the National Legal Service Authority, we started a program because we realized that there were 5,500 prisoners all over the country who, despite bail, were still in custody. Now, somebody had to find out why. Were they not able to meet the bail conditions or give sureties, or what was the reason? Now, the evolving technology helps that if a bail order is granted anywhere in the country and the person is not out within 7 days, and this is a cooperation with the police, the state, and this, something will beep on the system, and you can help the lawyer, or what we call paralegals, people who assist the legal assistants, will be able to go and check up why is that person still in custody. So there are very varied advantages of technology today. I still believe that physical interaction in certain scenarios is necessary. There are some very important court cases where lawyers prefer and judges also prefer that it happens in actual court because of the nature of communication possible. But the last 4 years, I think, have seen a sea change in use of technology in the legal field. And I think the pace at which it is being utilized is great. I mean, uh, the other day I had to, in a mediation, send a mediation report to the Delhi High Court, and I found out that they don't have any physical filing now. It's completely electronic filing there. So I had to find my way out how to send the report to them. That's the changeover in 4 years' time. So if it has happened in one place in Delhi, it's happening in others at some pace. Slowly, all of it will be technological based.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Srihari, can we have your question, please? Srihari.
Good morning, sir.
Sorry.
My question is what are some of the key qualities that you believe are essential for a successful judge?
Okay, so the first thing I think for a judge is a pre-qualification. I don't call it a quality, and that's the integrity of the judge. That's the most important. The litigant who comes to a judge must be confident that he will decide the case on merits. It's not that he's infallible; he can make mistakes, but it should not be a mistake. It should not be something done for any collateral purpose or motive. So integrity is the first thing I would do. Number two, fundamental knowledge of law is important because unless you know law, how do you administer justice? Thirdly, ability to put in long hours and work because we have the courts are highly pressed. The number of cases are large. And contrary to belief, sometimes they say, oh, courts go on vacation. It doesn't happen like that. Most judges are working on Saturdays, they work on Sundays. In small breaks, they do the judgments because you need to think. It's not a computer. The judge has to think. And justice, to my mind, is both of law and heart. There is some role the heart plays. And within the contours of law, it depends on the social and economic empowerment from which a particular person comes from. So I always believe that must be kept in mind because sometimes petty crimes and other aspects arise from a social environment which is there. And you can't equate people who have had a more privileged education and background with the people who have not had so. So justice delivery is in accordance with your mind and heart based on legal principles and with an endeavor to see that we must give justice as early as possible to the common person because in an age of technology with so much taking over, people will not be willing to wait for years together to get justice. And if I was put to what is the greatest challenge to the judiciary today is the time period which it takes to finish a case. We have to do something out of the box, according to me. Some ideas I keep sharing, who are still students, where we must do something to put the system better on its rail than what we are at present.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Can we get a question from Sahana now of grade 12?
Good morning, sir. Could you please share some of your most memorable or challenging moments that you faced during your tenure as Chief Justice of Madras High Court?
Okay, so that's a little controversial issue, but I'll share it. Uh, See, I came from a scenario. Let me say Delhi is very, very professional, uh, comparatively being the capital. It's very cosmopolitan because people from all over the country come to Delhi and practice in the High Court. There is never any issue in it. The bench is also reflective of the country as a whole because you have judges from different communities, different people, without any thought to which caste community you come from. That's how Delhi is worked, where I've lived and practiced. Uh, to come to Chennai, the first, and we had not seen strikes for more than a decade. Uh, I was part of the executive of the Bar Association. I have seen strikes, two of the longest strikes in Delhi when I was on the executive. The futility of what goes on, why it should not occur. So it's been a learning experience for me also. Uh, and somehow the challenge in Madras High Court and around was the work culture, if you ask me. It was felt that as if on a drop of a hat, if you strike work, it's fine. It was completely alien to my concept. Um, I give an example of, say, the Bar Association coming and tell me that the work will not be carried on for a day because a fisherman from Sri Lanka had been detained Tamil Nadu had been detained in Sri Lanka. I said, how does the Madras courts come into this picture? What can we do? It's extraterritorial. So it was said, no, it is very emotional. So, we want to take out. So what happened was, which I never knew, they would take out a procession from the corridors. They did try to open my courtroom, and I told them to close the door and leave. They listened, and slowly, the resistance I faced was on a work culture issue. Then the realization that there were lawyers who were a little afraid, who were really committed to the profession, but felt insecure. It was my job to see that they feel secure and they are able to practice without impediments. And an impromptu decision, I got the CISF to vet it instead of the local police. That system has continued till now, and there are no strikes, no working. Even in district courts, we use technology. You are saying we put, screens there. I could sit in the High Court and see whether a court is working any district or not. It's a check and balance on the judge, check and balance on the system there. And it would encourage the working lawyers. That's how I say. See, the legal field is a little overcrowded. I must confess, overcrowded because some of the people and some of the people may not be very committed to the legal profession. Do it part time, come in. So that creates a less of a work environment which we had to do. There are some, to my mind, not only was it a charter court, but in constitutional law, family law, in many areas, the Madras courts produced the best of law. The judges were extremely eminent. So I used to keep wondering what has happened that despite such history, despite the presence of very good lawyers, some very good judges, and I zeroed on to the aspect of a work culture principle which must be brought in. Work culture comes even from judges, I'll tell you. I would review whether there were too many pending matters in judgments before each judge, very politely request them and ask them that, we must deliver justice quickly. So it required varied kind of thought processes, I would say. Some impromptu, some with thought process. I used to study every second day on how to improve the system, but that had to be done beyond court times. So, and the great satisfaction I have is that in the 2.5 years I was there, I was able to work with judges, with the active practicing members of the bar, to create a court which would slowly climb back to what it was. And I left in 2017. It's 7 years. The courts, district level and high court, have extremely worked well because the culture of work again spread, which is innate, I think, in a place like Tamil Nadu. So, where people can be so hardworking, have the intellect, and work their way up, I thought the strike was an aberration in a legal field.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Harish Kupan, can we have your question, please?
Good morning, sir. What challenges or misconceptions do you think students like us may encounter when pursuing a career in law, and how can we overcome these obstacles to achieve our goals, sir?
See, one misconception which still continues to my mind, and the biggest one, is that this is a family oriented profession. If I've not done, nobody in my family has done law, how do I come into it? I've gone to even place like the Delhi National Law School, where to talk to the first year students who are coming in and their parents, when I was in judge in Delhi. And a lot of parents had this apprehension. Some of them came from important position in bureaucracy, some in other fields, who felt, well, my child wants to do law, but none of us are lawyers. And kept telling them the whole thing has changed. The scenario has changed. You have first generation lawyers who have done equally well, and family lawyers who are not up to it. So that it's a competitive world. And in that competitive world, who performs better is the key. Yes, some people will be more disadvantaged. So they will have to work hard. That's a part of life. It's like a person coming from an economically, socially backward community, working that much more to rise. That's how the reservation principle is based. It's based on that only to equate. But but be rest assured that you can make it if you have worked hard enough, you have the ability, and you adhere to ethics. This is one of the greatest challenges I feel. I do believe that the allure of money at times makes young people make compromises, and that compromises made early cost heavily in the longer run. So if you can resist those compromises and look to a longer period in which to make your effort, especially litigation field, I feel the fruits come a little later. So it gives disproportionately more later. It gives disproportionately less earlier. It's not so much in the corporate side, but with law firms coming up now, those opportunities have also increased. So I think if you are interested in law, you must have a passion and interest, certainly. Um, it requires a lot of it. It's a very jealous mistress, as they say. So you have to be very enjoy it. I mean, if I've worked to whatever extent I have, it is because I've enjoyed being a lawyer. I've enjoyed being a judge. I would say that's true of every. You must enjoy being an engineer. You must enjoy being a doctor. Then you'll do so. So if you enjoy the subject and want to do it, though you may not have been directly exposed so much to it, but your general reading would get you into it. It's a very growing field for the right merit today, because nothing in the system works without a lot of knowledge of law, whether you're in business or any other thing.
Thank you, sir. Sir, with your permission, can we have one more question, sir?
Yes, sure.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yugan Jiva, can you have your question, please?
Good morning, sir. As a former judge of Supreme Court, what do you believe are the most pressing legal issues facing our society today?
So the pressing issue, as I said even earlier, was access to justice, and justice in time is the biggest challenge. Uh, we must be able to deliver justice promptly. Now, no system in the world has this much of litigation. So that's the big challenge. To give you an example, the American Supreme Court decides about 100 cases in a year. 100 cases in a year. In the Supreme Court, every Monday and Friday, each bench has 50 cases. And we have about 15 benches with a full strength which would be sitting. So there is no comparison in numbers. One of the reasons is they have very limited tiers of scrutiny, and I think we have to also limit the tiers of scrutiny. But the Supreme Court being the final court, people want to take a chance and come there. So prompt justice is an important aspect. Personal liberty is a very important aspect, I think, secondly. Because people can make mistakes in life, but you can't keep people behind bars for an infinitum period of time. I, as a judge, had made suggestions to the government nothing much came about it, that in cases where the maximum sentence is limited, say to 7 years or so, and the person has already served, say, one third of the sentence, if he's willing to give a bond of good behavior, it's a single incident case, release him instead of going through a whole process of trial everywhere. One of the great challenges is that the government is a party to more than 50% litigant. The culture in the government must change how to settle matters. Private matters still settle. And I think times to come, mediation is how many countries have worked out. This starts from the base level to the highest level. So one idea is, see, personal litigations do not reach that stage. That's what mediation is about, which is pre-litigation mediation. If litigation starts, help them mediate and do so. I'm a great votary of mediation because I feel mediation helps in preserving relations and solving a problem more easily and structuredly, because the law courts will only give you what law permits, while your needs may be different. So I think mediation, the new Mediation Act coming in, though many of its provisions are not implemented, will be a great move forward. I had an opportunity to go to the U.S. courts and the British courts to study the system. So in California, say 97% plus cases settle by plea bargaining, by mediation, by arbitration. 3% cases go to trial. In our system, 99% cases go to trial, and with the volume. So what we have to do is, we have to create bypasses where people are able to resolve their disputes, and the criminal cases also, the petty crimes are resolved, and the courts are free to deal with more serious matters if we want prompt justice system to come in.
Thank you, sir.
Dean sir, Master, I believe Dean sir has
Yes, sir.
raised his.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Dean, sir, you can have your question, sir.
Sir, good afternoon. I'm Mr. Ganesh. I work in the capacity of Dean for the school. Sir, my question is, like this generative AI, which can analyze millions of cases and give some kind of input to the judge, will it really help in this thing, sir? Clearing all the pending cases, will it reduce the pendency? Introduction of AI in this thing, law field, because as you just mentioned, because the judges are dealing with a lot of cases where most of the this thing, if this AI can help them to analyze the cases and reach a judgment, will it be helpful?
I do believe AI would be helpful, but the use of AI must be completely controlled. It's not a replacement for a judge.
Okay.
And one of the reasons I say this is because in particular field where there is completely settled positions, it can be of use. But justice delivery system is both of law and it works from the heart. The AI system will not have the heart component to it. And therefore, it is of use and assistance to the judge so far as data is concerned and certain other aspects like this is concerned. But it's certainly not a replacement. We should be able to use it carefully and help in reducing workloads in certain specified fields.
Thank you, sir.
Yes.
I have a request to the justice. So anybody need to ask any more question? I'll ask later.
No, please go ahead, Pradeep sir. Please go ahead, sir.
Yes, please. Sir, e-filing initiative by the Supreme Court is the way forward, and it's a laudable initiative. And my request to you is that, sir, I feel the districts here, most of the districts in India, will lack the necessary infrastructure and the qualified people to implement it successfully. I think the e-filing as such is being postponed to June and is going to be in force by the first week of June. My only apprehension fear is that, sir, in Trichy, for example, there is a huge backlog in getting the filings uploaded, and emergent cases which are supposed to be listed by the end of the day is not being done. Same applies to bail applications, even for continuation petitions, all those things. So my request to you is that, sir, just to ensure that the necessary infrastructure is in place and the people are properly trained so that this system can take off very well, sir.
So personally speaking, I believe that a dual system must continue to work till we are able to upgrade it from the district level onwards. So it is also dependent on initiative. For example, I'll give you Orissa State, which had many challenges. Justice Muralidhar went to Orissa as the Chief Justice, and he made sure that from district level onwards, all facilities were available, even access to High Court through rooms patterned in district court from where virtual hearings could take place. So it's a lot of things can't be just top down. It has to emerge from the base level. And Chief Justice, I think, is a very important role to be played of a High Court. Chief Justice has to be both a judicial person and an administrative person. Because that's both roles have to be performed, and this is a duality which is necessary. We can of course get today professional assistance of everybody, but I do believe that it should not be that access to justice should suffer because we are moving technology too fast. I would agree with you that there should be a parallel this thing. Of course, you have to push people to use technology because people of our generation feel it reluctant to do so. That will always happen. I, for one, took some time to use technology. I was quite happy with my files, but then the realization comes that we are all in a process of learning. So I am also in a process of learning, and as I learn from it. But I would tend to agree with you that it should not be that the hurry to push it through should be such that people find access difficult.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much, Honorable Mr. Justice, sir, for answering all the questions in an exemplary manner. Students might be feeling excited after listening to your address. Thank you so much once again, sir. Thank you. Now, may I request our principal, ma'am, to deliver the gratitude by proposing the vote of thanks? Please, ma'am.
Thank you. And let me say this, wish all the students the best of luck for their exams and for their career in law or any field which they feel that they would like to do.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for being so kind and gracious with your time, sir. Thank you. Over to you, Principal, ma'am.
Warm greetings and thank you so much, sir. On behalf of Santhanam Vidhyalaya Senior Secondary School, I take immense pleasure listening to you and to propose the vote of thanks. Pluralism is the soul of democracy. There should be freedom for the thought we hate. Freedom of speech has no meaning if there is no freedom after speech. The reality of democracy is to be measured by the extent of freedom and accommodation it extends. These are the concluding words of our Honorable Justice, sir, in one of his eminent judgments. If you want peace, you must work for justice. A true testimony of these words is our Honorable Mr. Justice Sanjay Kishan Kaul, sir. We are extremely happy and elated to listen to you, sir. You have been ranked second in seniority amongst the sitting judges of the Supreme Court and served a tenure of 6 years and 10 months, in which period you were a part of 590 benches, out of which you have authored judgments in 167 cases. A man of such a stature to address our students and elucidate on the contours of law is a real blessing to all of us. Speaking about integrity, law, mind and heart, and hard work, culture, equality, and ethics, I take this opportunity to wholeheartedly thank you, sir, for spending your valuable time with us. Thanks a lot, sir. I do take this opportunity to sincerely thank the senior advocate, Shri Pradeep sir from Trichy, for joining us in today's webinar and moderating it. Thank you, sir. I render my gratitude to our leaders, Dr. K. Meena Madam, former Vice Chancellor and the Secretary of our institution, our CEO, Mr. Chandrasekharan, who's an eager beaver in arranging such a wonderful events for our students. Our director, ma'am, Mrs. Aparna Shekhar, the source of inspiration to all of us. I take this opportunity also to thank our operations head, Dr. Vidyalakshmi ma'am, our dean, Mr. Ganesh, the head of academy, Mr. Ravindranath Kumar, our diligent vice principal, ceaseless teachers, the IT team, vibrant and energetic students, parents, the media personnel, and each and every one of you who are the part of this webinar. Thank you all once again. Have a great day.
Thank you, Principal Ma'am, and thank you, Honorable Justice Sir, once again. Thank you for taking the time, sir.
Thank you.
Our sincere thanks to each and every one of you for your esteemed presence and making this webinar a grand success. Thank you once again. Thank you.